If you're new to investing, here are the only 4 rules you actually need. That's it, not 20, not the 100 you'll get from finance TikTok. Rule 1, buy the whole market, not individual stocks. Rule 2, buy it every month, no matter what the market is doing. Rule 3, hold it for decades, not weeks. Rule 4, never pay more than 0.1% in fees. If you do those 4 things, and only those 4 things, statistically, you'll outperform most professional fund managers. And yes, that includes the ones on TV. Stay with me, and I'll show you exactly how each rule works, why it works, and the specific mistake that quietly destroys most beginner portfolios. I'm Mr. Finance, and every week I put real numbers on the money moves everyone talks about, but nobody measures. If you want the next one to find you, subscribing takes 1 tap. Now, let's break down rule number 1. Most beginners think investing means picking the right stock. Find the next Apple, buy Tesla before it goes up. That's the movie version of investing, and it's the reason most beginners lose money in year 1. Here's the reality nobody tells you. Over the last 20 years, professional fund managers, people with Harvard MBAs, expensive research teams, and Bloomberg terminals humming behind them, try to pick individual stocks that beat the market average. About 90% of them fail. Not sometimes, not in bad years. 90% over any long enough window. If the pros can't reliably pick winners, a beginner trading between meetings on their phone has no realistic chance either. So don't play the picking game at all. Buy all the companies at once. That's what an index fund is. A single fund that holds a slice of every major company in a market. The most famous one, the S&P 500, holds the 500 biggest U.S. companies. When you buy one share of it, you own a tiny piece of Apple and Microsoft and Amazon and 497 others, automatically weighted, automatically rebalanced. You don't have to guess which company will win the next decade. Because you own all of them, whichever ones win, you win with them. Here's the number that should end this debate. Over the last 30 years, the S&P 500 index has averaged roughly 10% per year, dividends included. That's before inflation. After inflation, call it 7%. Boring? Yes. Beat 90% of professionals? Also yes. Rule 1, restated as a single sentence. Stop trying to be smart. Own the whole market. Rule 2, once you've picked what to buy, the next question every beginner asks is when to buy it. What if the market's high? What if it crashes right after? What if there's a recession coming? The honest answer? Nobody knows. Not the pros, not the news anchors, and definitely not the guy on TikTok with a Lamborghini in the background. Trying to time the market, buying when it's low, waiting when it's high, has been studied for decades. Almost nobody does it profitably. The ones who claim they do are usually selling a course. So instead of timing, you use a technique called dollar cost averaging, which sounds fancy but means the boringest thing possible. Pick a fixed amount and invest it on the same day every single month forever. Market up, you buy. Market down, you buy. Market crashing, you especially buy. Here's why it works. When the market drops, your same 500 buys more shares. When it rises, it buys fewer, but the shares you already own are worth more. Over decades, you end up with an average price that's often better than what most timers achieve, because you never froze, never waited, never missed a month sitting on the sidelines. A study by Fidelity looked at their most successful individual investors over multiple decades. The top-performing accounts had 2 things in common. First, they invested every month without fail. And second, the truly awkward finding, a significant portion of them had forgotten they had the account. They couldn't panic sell because they weren't watching. The lesson, the enemy of investing, isn't picking wrong. It's reacting. Rule 2, single sentence, invest the same amount every month and don't look at it too often. Rule 3 is where most beginners quietly lose. Not with a crash, with impatience. Here's the math nobody shows you in year 1. In your first 12 months of investing, compound interest does almost nothing. If you put in $6,000 over the year and the market returns 8%, that's about $240 of growth. $240, that's it. That's the magic. At year 1, 96% of your progress is you, your discipline, your monthly deposits. The market is barely awake, and this is where beginners quit. They look at the account, see modest growth, and think, this isn't working. I need to try something with more upside. Options, crypto, that trading course my cousin's friend recommended. They abandoned the boring path right at the point where it was supposed to feel slow. Because the beginning is slow by design. It's slow for everyone. Now watch what happens if you don't quit. Same $500 a month, same 8% average return. No stock picking, no luck. After 10 years, about $92,000, most of it your deposits. After 20 years, about $296,000, half of it is now the market's growth. After 30 years, about $745,000, and less than half of that is money you personally put in. The last decade generates more growth than the first two combined. Compound interest doesn't reward smart, it rewards time. You cannot rush it. You cannot fast forward it. You can only refuse to interrupt it. Rule 3. Single sentence. The boring part is the whole product. Do not quit during the flat years. Rule 4 is the one nobody warns beginners about, and it's the one that quietly steals the most from you. Every fund charges a fee, called an expense ratio. It looks tiny on paper. Fund A might charge 0.05%. Fund B might charge 2%. Both numbers sound small enough to ignore. They are not. Here's the math over 30 years, with $500 a month invested. Two identical funds tracking the same market. One charges 0.05%, one charges 2%. At the end, the low-fee investor has about $745,000. The high-fee investor has about $540,000. That's $205,000 disappeared, over a fifth of the entire portfolio, to a difference that sounded like a rounding error at the start. Because fees compound too. Every year, the fund manager takes their 2%, and every year, that 2% isn't earning your future 8%, and every year the gap widens. It's compound interest running in reverse, directly against you. So the rule is simple. Look up the expense ratio before you buy anything. If it's above 0.1% for a broad index fund, you're overpaying. The famous low-cost index funds, the ones from Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab, all charge under 0.05% for their main S&P 500 products. Some are literally free. Rule 4. Single sentence. The fee you don't notice is the money you don't keep. Every rule I just gave you is broken by the same single mistake. And it's the mistake finance social media exists to sell you, treating your beginner portfolio like a casino. You will see people online who bought one stock and it went up 400% in a month. You will not see the 99 other people who tried the same thing and lost their entire deposit. That's called survivorship bias. You only see the winners because the losers deleted their accounts. Your job in the first 10 years is not to hit a home run. Your job is to not strike out, to keep the money going in, to not touch it, to not pull it out for a car, a trip, a sure thing. A boring account left alone for 30 years will make you wealthier than 90% of the people who tried to be clever. That is the real secret. It doesn't sound like a secret. That's why it works, because most people can't tolerate how simple it is, and they trade it away for something exciting that eventually loses. So 4 rules. Buy the whole market. Buy it every month. Hold for decades. Keep fees under 0.1%. There is genuinely nothing more you need to start investing well. Everything past this is decoration. If you were waiting for permission to start with something small and boring and consistent, this is the permission. The people who quietly become wealthy in their 40s and 50s are almost never the ones who picked the right stock at the right time. They're the ones who did these 4 things for a long time without stopping. I'm Mr. Finance. Subscribe if you want more of this kind of breakdown. No hype, no picks, just the actual math. And tell me in the comments, which of the 4 rules is the hardest one for you personally? Buying the whole market instead of picking, investing every month without timing, holding through the boring years, or believing the fee really matters? I read every one,